city gave them shine, the kind that blinds before it burns. But one night, Mercy faced a darkness no girl should ever see. Watch the City Girls, now showing on at Nena's Stories. Don't forget to subscribe.
Umuoke was the kind of village you could map by the way. Shadows fell across the red earth. Houses leaned close to one another. The mango tree at the center held the gossip of 100 years. Mercy and Nkechi were the same age, born in the wet season and raised with yams and prayers. They shared everything: beads, school books with torn corners, the same single uniform that smelled like soap, and the sun. Mercy's mother worked tirelessly every day. She mended old clothes and sold wrappers at the market. They struggled to make ends meet. The smell of fried plantains and cassava made Mercy's stomach ache with hunger, but they couldn't afford 3 square meal. Her father had died a long time ago, leaving her mother to take care of her alone. At night, when her mother went to the kitchen, she would come back with a sad face. There was never enough food. Mercy would look through the window and see their neighbors cooking jollof rice, their children laughing and eager to eat. She would feel a pang in her heart, but she knew they had to make do with whatever they had. Mercy had learned to be patient and help her mother. She sold mats at the market and helped with the farm work, planting yams and cassava on the small piece of land her father had left them. The farm work drains her, but she hopes that one day things will get better. Nkechi was different in hunger, not because she had less. Sometimes she did, sometimes more, but because she had a stare that searched beyond the horizon, beyond the thatched roofs of Umuoke. Every market day, she would sit on the branch of a mango tree, its leaves rustling with the whispers of traders and travelers. From her hideout, she would watch as trucks rumbled in, piled high with yams, cassava, and palm oil, bound for bigger markets. The dust they would kick up would settle slowly, carrying with it tales of places beyond the village. Nkechi would jump down from her branch, moving quietly between stalls, her ears tuning into conversations about life in the city. Lagos is gold, a buyer would say, sipping a sachet of pure water, if you can make it there. She listened with wide eyes, her imagination spinning tales of skyscrapers and cars, of streets paved with opportunities. To her, Lagos was a promised land, a place where hunger was a stranger, where money flowed like the river. Startled by the radio truck, a rare visitor that crackled to life, broadcasting news and music into the market's chaos. When it spoke of Lagos and its riches, Nkechi listened like a prophet, her heart pounding with a mix of longing and hope. The village, with its unending toil and scarcity, felt like a prison, and the city was her answered prayer, a ticket to freedom. She yearned to join the traders, to ride away from Umuoke's dust and hardship, to find that golden life she only heard of. Nkechi and Mercy finished school together, and life took its usual course. No jobs awaited them, no promising prospects. Mercy stayed behind, selling vegetables at the main market and helping her mother with farm work. It wasn't her choice, but she had no other option. She approached Nkechi with an idea. "Join me in the market, Nkechi. We can sell roasted plantains and corn. It will be a decent living." But Nkechi was resolute. "God forbid, Mercy," she said. "I'll never let poverty enslave me. This village life is suffocating. I'm leaving for the city, where there are plenty of opportunities." Mercy was taken aback. "But Nkechi, do you have contacts in Lagos? Where will you stay? The city can be overwhelming." Nkechi smiled confidently. "I'll make my way, Mercy. I don't need anyone to pave the path for me. I've heard Lagos is a land of opportunity, and that's where I'm headed." Mercy sighed. "I can't leave my mom behind. Besides, I don't know anyone in Lagos. I'll stay here and make do with what I have." Nkechi laughed softly. "Suit yourself, Mercy. You can stay in this village, but I'm off to chase my dreams in the city." "All right, if that's what you want," Mercy replied, a mix of worry and admiration in her voice. Nkechi stepped off the night bus into Lagos' chaotic embrace, her eyes wide with anticipation. She had pinned her hopes on Mama Aisha, a trader she'd met in the village, who promised accommodation in exchange for a small fee. Nkechi gave Mama Aisha all her life savings. As it turned out, the address Mama Aisha scribbled on a scrap of paper led to a non-existent location, leaving Nkechi stranded, tears mingling with the city's dust. People gathered just to remind her that Lagos is the more you look, the less you see. A passerby muttered, as if it was a lesson she'd never asked for. Desperate for where to sleep, Nkechi found a dimly lit bar where Lady G, a woman with a husky voice and a warm smile, listened to her story. Without a word, Lady G beckoned her to stay. You can walk here, sleep here, she said, handing Nkechi a rag to wipe down tables. The smell of beer and catfish pepper soup became Nkechi's new normal. Months passed, and Nkechi was able to save little money from her salary and tips from customers. She rented a cramped room in a Face Me, I Face You compound, a labyrinth of shared spaces and places of quarrels. One evening at the bar, a sleek car pulled up, and a poised woman with designer shades stepped out. Her gaze lingered on Nkechi's mind, and she swayed over. Nkechi took the lady's order and was all smiles when serving her. After a time, the lady noticed how beautiful and friendly Nkechi was towards her. What is a Jew like you doing here? She asked, nodding toward the bar. Nkechi didn't hesitate in sharing her story, and the woman listened with a practiced smile. I can offer you 10 times what you earn here, she said, scribbling a number on a card. Loyalty is all I ask. In your alone time, call me on this line. My name is Veronica. Nkechi hesitated, unsure what the lady meant, but the promise of financial freedom danced in her head. She stretched forth her hands, reaching for the number. The woman's parting words lingered. Call me when you get home. Nkechi's fingers trembled as she tucked the card into her pocket, a mix of excitement and unease swirling inside her. After her night shift, Nkechi dragged herself back to her cramped room, exhaustion etched on her face. She floated on her bed, staring blankly at the Celine-inspired ceiling, her mind wandering to the pressing question, what to eat? The emptiness in her stomach mirrored the void in her soul. Suddenly, her gaze fell on the piece of paper taped to her wall. Veronica's number, a reminder of a choice she'd been avoiding. She picked up the number and hesitated at first, her finger hovering over the dial button. What if? She took a deep breath and called. The phone rang a few times before Veronica's smooth voice answered. Hi, it's Nkechi, the girl from the bar, she stammered. Ah, Nkechi, I've been expecting your call, Veronica replied. I can link you up with prominent men, men with money, but you have to give them maximum satisfaction. It's give and take, sweetie. You'll get a good apartment, a car, designer bags, the city girl lifestyle. When you're ready, let me know, and we'll set up a meet. Veronica hung up, leaving Nkechi grappling with the maelstrom of emotions. This wasn't the Lagos she had dreamed of, a city where money flowed like honey and opportunities waited on every corner. Reality, however, was a harsh awakening. As she drifted off to sleep, Nkechi's mind whirled with questions. Was this the price she would pay for success? The next day, Nkechi's limit was pushed. A rude and lecherous customer berated her, and her madam demanded an apology. That was the final straw. She quit on the spot, her anger and frustration boiling over. As she walked home, a strange sense of liberation washed over her. She called Veronica, and with a single, I'm ready, her life took a drastic turn. Nkechi became a ghost, haunting Lagos' underbelly, meeting men for money, numbing her pain with substances, and pretending to be someone she wasn't. Her Instagram feed told a different story, a life of luxury, of designer labels, and exotic getaways. But behind the screen, Nkechi was crumbling, depression clawing at her soul. To Mercy, she lied, typing out a message with a heavy heart. Hey Mercy, I'm doing great. Got a job at a big company, and the pay is amazing. I'll send money home soon. Mercy believed her. Some of the men Nkechi entertained had twisted fantasies that left her drained. There were nights when only the numbing haze of alcohol could get her through their demands. She would leave their rooms with bruises hidden beneath long sleeves, her knees wankling, and a fake laugh stuck on her lips. She had mastered the art of being a chameleon, describing herself in neutral terms to strangers, keeping her true self locked away in a secret vault. The city had taught her to mask her pain with makeup, to post only the soft girl lifestyle on the gram, and to satisfy men in bed. But she has achieved what she had set out for. She'd built a house on the ridge for her family and sent her friend Mercy money whenever she could. Mercy's pride still burned a little, but the village had noticed Nkechi's transformation. They marveled at the girl who had left as a slim, dark-skinned girl and returned with a car, a roof, and a noticeably different face. BBL and light-skinned, Lagos had changed her. When Nkechi drove into the village, her friends and neighbors couldn't recognize her. Mercy was among them, and her eyes widened in awe. Regret crept in. Why hadn't she taken Nkechi's offer to join her in Lagos? Nkechi, you've made it. Wow! Mercy exclaimed, embracing her. You have a car and a house. I wish I had listened to you back then. Please, if you're going back, I'll come with you. I can't keep selling veggies at the market. Nkechi's expression turned somber. Mercy, not all that glitters is gold. I will advise you to stay here and grow your business. But if you insist on coming to Lagos, I'll take you with me when I go back. They caught up on old times, and it was settled. Mercy would follow Nkechi to Lagos. When Mercy arrived in Lagos with Nkechi, she couldn't hide her awe. The bustling streets, the endless noise, the bright lights, everything felt overwhelming, yet exciting. Lagos was nothing like the quiet life she left behind. After she finally settled into Nkechi's beautiful apartment, Nkechi decided it was time to be honest. Mercy, I need to be real with you, she began quietly. I don't work in any company. I satisfy men for money. Mercy froze. What do you mean you satisfy men for money? She asked, her voice shaking. Let me explain. Nkechi continued. I work under a woman named Veronica. She connects me with rich and influential men. I sleep with them, they pay her, she takes her cut, and I get mine. Mercy's mouth hung open in disbelief. Wait, this is what you've been doing in Lagos? She finally managed to speak. Yes, Mercy, this is what I do, Nkechi said without hesitation. It's how I bought my car, and it's how I built a house in just 2 years. These men are willing to spend money, real money, if you satisfy them well. You can't achieve all this on a regular salary. Mercy's chest tightened with confusion. All she wanted was a job that would let her save money and give her mother a better life. Sleeping with different men had never been part of her dream, but going back home empty-handed felt even worse. The thought of returning to the noisy, suffocating markets drained her spirit. She looked around. Nkechi's glowing skin, her polished lifestyle, the fully furnished 3-bedroom duplex, the car parked outside. If this was what satisfying could provide, was it worth considering? Nkechi gave her a gentle look with a warm smile. Sleep over it, Mercy. Decide if it's something you can handle. But Mercy already knew her answer. Fine, Nkechi, I can do it. Are you sure? Nkechi asked, searching her eyes. Yes, Mercy replied firmly. All right then, Nkechi said with a sigh. Tomorrow I'll introduce you to Veronica. As Mercy tried to find a footing in Lagos, Nkechi introduced her to Veronica, a woman whose name carried weight across the city. Veronica wasn't just any woman. She was the mastermind behind some of the most polished, desirable girls in Lagos. She taught them how to be seen, how to move, how to attract, and most importantly, how to get paid. In fact, she was one of the biggest pimps in the city. Veronica had connections in high places: politicians, CEOs, wealthy importers, and businessmen with bottomless pockets and even stranger fantasies. These men paid heavily for satisfaction, and Veronica was the bridge between their desires and her goals. She negotiated every deal, took 50% of the earnings and gave her girls the other half. That was the lifestyle. No complaints, no arguments. Everyone knew the rules. When Veronica examined Mercy for the first time, her eyes ran over her slowly. She nodded with approval. She has the body, she murmured. Then came the orientation. I will put you on soft life, Veronica said, her voice firm and commanding. But first, you must be loyal. No lies, no shame, and forget good girl behavior. Good girls don't make money in this business. These men want fire, boldness, and skill in the other room. You will learn how to drink, how to smoke, and how to satisfy a man properly. Mercy listened quietly, absorbing every word as if she were in a classroom taking notes. Her first night, however, was far from easy. Veronica connected her to a wealthy politician, a man known for his strange preferences. He preferred to go through the back, something Mercy had never experienced in her life. She wanted to refuse, but the man insisted. and Mercy couldn't risk disappointing Veronica or Nkechi on her very first night. So she drank heavily, numbed herself, and did what was demanded. By the end, the man praised her, calling her talented and worth every kobo. When Mercy returned home, tears streamed down her face. She felt violated, small, and shaken. But Nkechi, who had seen far worse, pulled her close and comforted her. "It's normal," Nkechi whispered. "You'll get used to the lifestyle." The next day, Veronica arrived with Mercy's payment. She wore a satisfied smile. "Wow, Mercy," Veronica said, handing her an envelope. "You did well. The man paid double what we negotiated. Here's your cut. Keep it up. You're already one of my favorite girls." When Mercy opened the envelope and saw the thick stack of money earned in just one night, all her pain disappeared instantly. "Wait," she gasped. "I made this in one night?" "Yes," Nkechi replied casually as she ate her meal. "And you can make even more depending on the client and how good you are." After Mercy and Nkechi counted their money, in that moment, Mercy felt something shift inside her. She had arrived. She immediately sent money to her mother and went shopping for things she had only dreamed of owning. Then she got herself a deserving BMW car. "If I do this 10 or 15 times," she thought, "I'll save enough to open a legit business and quit this lifestyle." But life had its own plans for Mercy. Mercy and Nkechi continued to enjoy the flashy lifestyle Lagos offered. Nights blurred into mornings, clubs, lights, smoke, music. They moved through the city like they owned it, counting their wants of cash. Veronica kept her promise and transformed them into true big city girls. She dressed them, trained them, polished them, and sent them to influential men who paid heavily for their company. What once felt abnormal soon became their new normal. They learned new tricks, swallowed pills to numb their minds, and pushed their bodies beyond limits. Mercy fixed her body, carried the latest phone, and drove her own car. She and Nkechi lived in a beautiful apartment, far from the poverty they once knew. One humid evening, Veronica called with her usual calm tone. There was work. Mercy was assigned to a powerful and well-known senator, a man whispered about in political circles. Mercy dressed up, braced herself, and went with one thought in her mind: satisfy him, get paid, and go home. But things took a turn she never expected. Inside the senator's luxury bedroom, his smile twisted into something dark. He didn't want the usual. He demanded something far more degrading, something deeply disturbing that Mercy had never encountered. "What do you mean I should satisfy your pet?" Mercy asked. At first, she thought it was a joke, but the cold seriousness in his eyes told her otherwise. Mercy refused. She stood up to leave, shaken, but the senator saw her refusal as a threat. In his mind, a girl like Mercy knowing his secret was dangerous. Panic turned into rage, and rage into violence. Before the night ended, Mercy never made it out of the room. The next morning, a frightened receptionist found her lifeless body. The hotel tried to cover the whispers, and before noon, the story had already been labeled a domestic incident. Her death did not make headlines the way a car accident would. No justice was pursued. The senator walked away untouched, protected by the power he carried and a system built to shield men like him. Just like that, Mercy was gone. There was no true justice. The police were slow and the man had connections with smooth influence. Nkechi tried to demand answers, but the city offered her only explanations wrapped in money and silence. The city had given her a house, but it had not kept her friend Mercy. Veronica? Oh, she already fled to another country. What Nkechi could do was use the money she had to return Mercy's body home. She carried the shame and the guilt and the bitter knowledge that she had been part of the map that led Mercy to that room. It is a heavy thing to realize that the path you showed your friend was lined with traps you didn't know. In the village, Mercy's burial in her village was raw and honest. Mercy's mother wept, women wailed, and the children watched and learned a caution without words. Time does not heal everything, but it gives space for a new purpose. Mercy's death did not fade into silence. It became a lesson, one the village refused to ignore. Nkechi remained behind, and for the first time her money was not used for comfort, but for correction. She paid for Mercy's mother's upkeep, covered the burial expenses, and poured her resources into something meaningful, a small sewing shop in the village where girls could learn tailoring and where someone would always be present when a young girl started dreaming of living. Nkechi named it Macy's Sewing Academy. She taught the younger girls how to stitch a future with their own hands. Slowly, the place grew. First a table, then a well-worn sewing machine, then a chalkboard with the names of girls who planned to travel, each with guidance and safety nets in place. The village became a pivot point, not to stop dreams, but to prepare them properly. Some girls are still left in the cities, some returned with stories, with scars, with joys, with rooms they rented after hardship. Others, armed with training and a plan, found work in safe companies in nearby towns or opened small businesses in the market. Mercy's name, the girl who died chasing the shine Lagos promised, became both a caution and a blessing, a reminder, a shield, a story mothers whispered to protect their daughters. Nkechi learned to live with the hollow the city carved inside her. She carried a humility money could never buy. The house she had built still stood, but she sold her car. Every naira went into the sewing room, into scholarships, into a fund she named Mercy's Stitch. A place where any girl could walk in and say, I want a better life. And someone would reply, let's make a plan first. This is not a story made to shame anyone who seeks a better life. It is not a condemnation of hunger. It is a reminder that some paths glitter, yet hide barbed wire beneath the shine. The city will tempt you with lights and promises, but sometimes that shine comes with a price tag that reads, your nights, your choices, your safety. In Umuoke, the mothers learned not to teach their daughters to fear living, but to live wisely, to live with a plan, to live with a skill or certificate, to live with a roof that is not paid for, with the loss of your own name. Do not trade your life for temporal enjoyment. The end. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment.